Carrie Underwood has always been known for her powerhouse vocals, heartfelt lyrics, and a reputation that's as squeaky clean as they come. But recently, she found herself at the center of an unexpected controversy, one that led to a legal battle no one saw coming. It all started after a well-known liberal TV host took it a step too far, openly mocking her live performance in a way that fans, and even legal experts, found outright offensive. What began as a simple joke on national television quickly spiraled into something much bigger, leading to a shocking turn of events that has everyone talking. Now, Carrie is no stranger to criticism, after all. She spent years in the spotlight, and with that comes a fair share of opinions. But this time, things were different. This wasn't just about a bad review or an offhand remark, it was personal. The TV host's comments weren't just about her music, they cut deeper, striking at the very core of her character, her faith, and everything she stands for. Within hours, social media exploded. Fans rushed to her defense, slamming the host for what they called a cruel and unnecessary attack. Some even accused the network of pushing an agenda against artists who don't align with their views. But while fans were busy calling for an apology, Carrie was making a move no one expected. She took legal action. That's right, the country superstar decided she wasn't going to let this one slide. She filed a lawsuit, sending a clear message. She wasn't just standing up for herself, but for every artist who had ever been ridiculed or disrespected under the guise of entertainment. And just when people thought they had seen it all, the case took a dramatic turn. The network, instead of issuing an apology or trying to settle things quietly, doubled down. The TV host in question responded with even more jabs, claiming it was all in good fun and that Carrie was overreacting. But behind the scenes, the legal battle was heating up. Lawyers got involved, contracts were scrutinized, and shocking details started to emerge. Details that could change everything. And then, the moment no one saw coming. Just when it seemed like the case was heading in one direction, a bombshell piece of evidence surfaced. Something that could completely shift public opinion and even impact Carrie's career in ways no one could have predicted. What was this evidence? How did the host and the network react? And most importantly, what does this mean for Carrie Underwood moving forward? The truth behind this lawsuit is more than just a celebrity dispute. It's about respect, accountability, and the power of words in today's world. Stay tuned, because what happened next will leave you absolutely speechless. As the lawsuit gained momentum, the public became even more divided. Some people backed Carrie Underwood, applauding her for taking a stand against what they saw as a growing trend of mean-spirited attacks disguised as humor. Others defended the TV host, insisting that comedians and commentators should have the freedom to express their opinions, even if they were harsh. The controversy was no longer just about one performance or one comment. It had become a much larger conversation about respect, fairness, and the fine line between critique and insult. Behind the scenes, Carrie remained mostly silent, letting her legal team handle the situation. Those close to her described her as calm but determined, unwilling to let this moment define her but also unwilling to let it go unchallenged. She had worked too hard to build her career, to earn the respect of her fans, and to be seen as more than just another celebrity to be torn apart for entertainment. This wasn't about thin skin or being unable to take a joke, this was about principle. Meanwhile, the TV host at the center of the controversy continued to push back. During his next broadcast, he made more remarks, brushing off the lawsuit as a publicity stunt and claiming that Carrie was just trying to stay relevant. But those words only fueled the fire. Fans pointed out that Carrie didn't need attention. She was already one of the biggest names in country music. If anything, this battle was shining an unflattering spotlight on him and his network. Then, whispers of new information started spreading. Legal analysts began speculating that there was more to the lawsuit than just the public comments. Some insiders suggested that private exchanges and behind-the-scenes conversations could reveal a deeper conflict. Were there previous tensions between Carrie and the network? Had something happened before the performance that made this attack even more personal? The questions kept coming, and with every passing day, the mystery only grew. Reporters started digging, uncovering a history of past controversies involving the TV host. He had been known for making harsh remarks about other celebrities before, but none had resulted in legal action like this. So why now? Why Carrie? That's when an unexpected twist surfaced. one that no one saw coming. A source close to the situation hinted that this wasn't just about one joke or one moment of bad judgment. There was something bigger at play, something that could change the entire narrative of the case. But before any answers could come, a major development shook the entire situation. Court documents were leaked, revealing shocking new details about the case. Suddenly, the media had more questions than ever, and even Carrie's most loyal supporters were left wondering what was really going on. What did these documents say? What secret had been hiding in plain sight all along? And most importantly, how would this impact the lawsuit and Carrie's future? The battle wasn't over yet, and what came next was going to be even more unexpected than anyone could have imagined. As the leaked court documents made their way across the internet, speculation ran wild. The papers didn't just contain the lawsuit details. There were emails, internal messages, and statements from people behind the scenes that hinted at something much bigger. It was no longer just about a single moment of mockery. It was about a pattern of behavior, a deeper agenda, and a brewing conflict that had been simmering long before the world even knew about it. One of the most shocking revelations involved discussions within the TV network itself. Messages exchanged between executives suggested that Carrie Underwood's name had come up in meetings for months before this incident, and not in a flattering way. There were references to her influence, her values, and how she didn't fit the kind of narrative they wanted to promote. Some fans immediately saw this as proof that Carrie had been targeted on purpose, that the mockery wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment joke but something more calculated. Meanwhile, the TV host at the center of it all was starting to feel the pressure. At first, he had treated the lawsuit like a joke, dismissing it as another celebrity overreacting to criticism. But as more information surfaced, his confidence began to waver. People who once defended him started to pull back, realizing that this wasn't just about a single bad take, it was about something much bigger. Even some of his industry peers, who normally backed each other up, started distancing themselves, afraid that their own names might get dragged into the mess. At the same time, Carrie's team remained tight-lipped. She hadn't made a public statement since the lawsuit was filed, and that silence only made people more curious. Was she preparing for something major? Was she waiting for the right moment to drop a bombshell of her own? Or was she simply letting the facts speak for themselves? The mystery surrounding her next move only fueled the fire, and the world was watching closely. Then came another unexpected turn. A former network employee stepped forward, claiming that this wasn't the first time the show had gone after someone in a way that felt more like an attack than entertainment. They described a pattern. Certain figures, especially those with strong beliefs or values that didn't align with the network's usual messaging, seemed to be fair game. If true, this revelation could change everything. It was no longer just about Carrie. It was about an entire system that had been operating behind the scenes unchecked for years. But before anyone could fully process this new information, a major announcement shook the case once again. Carrie's legal team had gathered enough evidence to take things to the next level, and they were preparing for a legal move that would put even more pressure on the network. What exactly was their strategy? What new revelations were about to come out? And most importantly, how would this all end? The answers weren't clear yet, but one thing was certain. This fight was far from over, and the next chapter was going to be even more explosive than anyone could have imagined. As the case reached a boiling point, the tension between Carrie Underwood and the TV network was undeniable. More and more people were taking sides, and the internet was flooded with debates over what this lawsuit really meant. Was it about protecting artists from unfair attacks, or was it a battle over free speech? Every new leak, every insider comment, and every cryptic social media post only added more fuel to the fire. Then, just when things couldn't get any more intense, Carrie's legal team made a bold move. They presented key evidence that had been kept under wraps, something that no one outside of her inner circle had seen before. The courtroom was filled with reporters, their pens ready to capture every word, as documents were submitted that hinted at a deeper level of manipulation from the network. It wasn't just about a joke gone too far. It wasn't even just about Carrie. It was about a system that had been designed to shape public narratives, and now it was being exposed piece by piece. At the same time, behind closed doors, the TV host was feeling the walls closing in. What had started as a dismissive attitude was now replaced with genuine concern. His once loyal supporters in the media industry were beginning to distance themselves, sensing that this case wasn't going away anytime soon. The network executives were no longer as confident as they once were, and quiet discussions of damage control had already begun. But the question remained, was it too late? Meanwhile, Carrie's fans were growing restless. They had stood by her from the beginning, but now they were demanding answers. They wanted to know what she was really fighting for and what the final goal was. Was she looking for financial compensation? A public apology? Or was this about something much bigger? Something that could shake the entire industry? The lack of direct statements from Carrie herself only made the suspense even greater. Then, out of nowhere, an unexpected witness stepped forward. Someone who had worked within the network and had first-hand knowledge of how decisions were made behind the scenes. Their testimony had the potential to change everything. If their claims were true, it would prove that Carrie Underwood wasn't just overreacting to an insult, but that she had been the target of something far more intentional. As the courtroom braced for what was next, speculation ran wild. Reporters whispered about last-minute settlements, about hidden deals being made behind the scenes, but no one knew for sure. The only certainty was that the truth was coming, and whatever it was about to change everything. The world was watching. The tension was at its peak, and the next move would decide it all. What was Carrie's endgame? Would the network fight back harder? Or would they finally cave under the pressure? And most importantly, what final revelation was still waiting to be uncovered? The moment of truth was coming, and no one was prepared for what would happen next. Just when it seemed like all the secrets were finally coming to light, another shocking twist sent the entire case into chaos. The unexpected witness, whose testimony was supposed to be the turning point, suddenly backed out. At the last minute, they refused to take the stand, citing personal reasons and concerns for their safety. The courtroom was stunned. Reporters scrambled to find out what had happened, but no one could get a straight answer. Had the network gotten to them? Had they been pressured into staying silent? Or was there something even bigger going on behind the scenes? Carrie's legal team was caught off guard, but they weren't giving up. They had built their case carefully, and while the witness's testimony would have been a powerful blow, they still had enough evidence to keep pushing forward. However, this sudden change gave the network an opportunity. Their lawyers wasted no time spinning the situation to their advantage, using it as proof that the accusations against them were weak and built on unreliable sources. Their confidence grew, and for the first time in weeks, it seemed like they believed they could win. Then, out of nowhere, a leaked recording surfaced, one that no one saw coming. It was a conversation between two high-ranking network executives discussing Carrie Underwood specifically. In the recording, they mocked her, dismissed her as too difficult to work with, and even joked about how they could use the controversy to their benefit. The words were cutting, revealing a level of pettiness and calculation that shocked even those who had been skeptical of the lawsuit. The clip spread like wildfire across social media, and within hours, the network was facing a brand new storm. The TV host at the center of the case immediately tried to distance himself from the recording, insisting he had no part in those conversations. But the damage was already done. People were no longer just debating whether his comments about Carrie had gone too far. They were now questioning the entire culture of the network. Was this kind of behavior common? Had other artists been targeted in similar ways? The lawsuit had started as a fight over one public insult, but it had now evolved into something much larger. As the pressure mounted, sources inside the network began to talk. Whispers of other incidents, other artists who had been quietly pushed out or mocked behind closed doors, started to circulate. Reporters were digging deep, searching for proof that this wasn't an isolated case. The network was scrambling to contain the damage, issuing carefully worded statements and denying any wrongdoing. But the public wasn't buying it. Carrie, still silent, remained the biggest question in all of this. Would she speak out now that the truth was unraveling? Or was she holding on to something even bigger, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal it? As the case approached its final stretch, one thing was clear: the fight wasn't just about Carrie anymore. It was about something much bigger, and the final battle was just about to begin. As the courtroom drama reached its peak, all eyes were on Carrie Underwood. The leaked recording had sent shockwaves through the industry, exposing a culture of manipulation and bias that went far beyond one incident. The network was scrambling, their legal team working overtime to control the damage, but the momentum was no longer in their favor. public opinion had shifted drastically. What started as a case about one artist being mocked had turned into something much bigger, a battle over respect, integrity, and the treatment of public figures in the media. Then, in a move no one expected, Carrie finally broke her silence. Instead of a dramatic press conference or a fiery social media post, she walked into court and took the stand herself. The room fell silent as she spoke, calm, confident, and unshaken. She didn't just talk about the insult that started it all. She painted a bigger picture. She spoke about the pressures artists face, the way narratives are shaped by powerful media voices, and the damage that careless words can do. It wasn't about revenge, she explained. It wasn't about silencing critics. It was about accountability. The moment was powerful, and it was clear the courtroom was hanging on her every word. Even those who had questioned her lawsuit in the beginning couldn't deny the impact of her testimony. But just when it seemed like the case was nearing its end, another shocking twist sent the entire situation into overdrive. A former network producer came forward with one final piece of evidence, a set of internal emails that had never been seen before. These emails revealed that the network hadn't just been mocking Carrie Underwood behind closed doors. They had actively planned to use the controversy to boost their own ratings. The host's comments hadn't been off-the-cuff remarks at all. They had been carefully orchestrated, designed to spark outrage and keep viewers engaged. The plan had backfired spectacularly, and now the entire scheme was exposed for the world to see. The courtroom erupted. Gasps filled the room as the emails were read aloud, confirming what many had suspected but never had proof of until now. The judge called for order, but the damage was done. The network had been caught red-handed, and there was no way to spin it. Realizing they had lost, the network made a desperate move. Their lawyers requested a private settlement, hoping to make the case disappear quietly. But Carrie wasn't interested in silence. Instead of accepting a private deal, she pushed for a public resolution. The network was forced to issue a formal apology, not just to Carrie but to other artists they had treated the same way. The TV host, once so smug and dismissive, had no choice but to admit that his words had been carefully planned, not just an innocent joke. His reputation was left in ruins, and his future on television was suddenly uncertain. As Carrie left the courthouse, reporters bombarded her with questions, but she didn't need to say much. The truth had been revealed, justice had been served, and she had proven that standing up for yourself isn't about ego, it's about principle. But just as the dust was settling, another unexpected development sent shockwaves through the industry. A new lawsuit was being filed, not by Carrie but by another artist who had been watching the entire case unfold. The network's troubles were far from over, and this was only the beginning of a much larger reckoning. The battle had been won, but the war? That was just getting started. As Carrie Underwood walked away from the courthouse, there was a sense of quiet victory in the air. The battle had been long, exhausting, and more intense than anyone had anticipated, but the truth had finally come out. The network's carefully controlled image had been shattered, and the TV host who had once mocked her was now facing the consequences of his actions. What started as a single comment had unraveled into something much bigger, exposing the tactics and manipulation that had been happening behind the scenes for years. The fallout was swift. The network, now under heavy public scrutiny, scrambled to rebuild its reputation. Executives were forced to answer tough questions, and internal changes were promised. The TV host, once a household name, found himself on shaky ground. His apologies felt forced, his attempts to regain credibility falling flat. While some of his loyal fans still defended him, it was clear his influence had taken a major hit. Meanwhile, Carrie handled the aftermath with the same grace she had shown throughout the case. She never gloated, never took cheap shots, and never made it about personal revenge. Instead, she used the moment to speak about the importance of respect, not just for celebrities, but for anyone who has ever been publicly ridiculed or unfairly targeted. Her message resonated beyond country music fans. It became a conversation about how the media shapes public perception, how narratives can be manipulated, and how powerful voices must be held accountable. But just when it seemed like the dust was settling, the news of the second lawsuit spread. Another artist, who had been silently watching Carrie's fight, stepped forward with their own story. This time, it wasn't just about being mocked. It was about an entire pattern of behavior within the network, stretching back years. The industry braced for what was coming next. If one person's lawsuit could shake things up this much, what would happen when more voices joined in? Carrie, however, was ready to step back. She had fought her battle, and she had won. With her name cleared and her integrity intact, she was eager to return to what she loved most: her music, her fans, and her family. In a heartfelt social media post, she thanked those who had supported her, reminding everyone that standing up for yourself doesn't mean seeking revenge. It means demanding respect, even when it's difficult. As the headlines slowly shifted to the next big story, one thing was clear: this case had changed the conversation. It had forced people to look at how the media treats public figures, how narratives are controlled, and how powerful networks operate behind the scenes. Carrie had never set out to start a movement, but in a way she had. And while she was ready to move forward, the industry would never quite be the same again. With her head held high, she walked away from the controversy, back to what she did best: making music, inspiring fans, and proving that true strength isn't just about fighting battles, but about knowing when to move forward.